So in the last video, we covered how to program an autonomous for FTC. Today, we're going to be covering how to create a TeleOp program for FTC. So first off, create your new Java class. So similar to the autonomous, we're going to be extending, but this time instead of linear op mode, it's just going to be op mode. So again, you'll see the red squiggly line, so press Alt-Enter and implement methods. Finally, declare it as a TeleOp and give it a name. Okay, so here you'll see two functions, the init and the loop functions. Whatever goes in the init function is what happens when you press init in the driver station, and whatever goes on in the loop happens after you press the start button. So first off, let's copy some motors over from the autonomous program that we created last video. Okay. So how the loop works is it has a bunch of if statements that control what happens when certain buttons on the gamepad are pressed. For example, you can have an if statement for gamepad1.a to do whatever you want. So in a real life example, let's say you want to move the robot forward at full speed when you move the left joystick up. How you program that is by saying if gamepad1.leftStickY is greater than 0, and again I'm going to be using some stuff from the autonomous program. So what this does is if the gamepad1.left joystick in the Y direction senses a value greater than 0, it'll move the robot forward at maximum speed. Now let's say you want to do a similar thing by moving the robot back when moving the joystick down. You would change the greater than 0 to less than 0 and make all the powers -1. Okay, so now we have a TeleOp written for moving the robot forward and backwards. But if you run this on a robot and test it, what you'll notice is that once you interact with the left joystick, the motors will be set to a certain power at all times because we haven't programmed a condition for the motors being set to 0. So we can fix that by adding an else statement and setting all the powers to 0. So now we have a working drivetrain TeleOp, only moving forward and backwards for a basic robot configuration with 4 non-mechanism wheels. So I know a lot of teams in FTC commonly use mechanism wheels, so I wanted to give a quick example for if you're using mechanism wheels, because a TeleOp with mechanism wheels tends to be pretty complex for a rookie team. Okay, so this is a basic code for a TeleOp with mechanism wheels. So in summary, it has 3 variables, x, y, and z, that take values from the left and right joysticks. And it combines those values in a way where you can do 2 motions at the same time and sets motor values into these 4 other variables. So you don't have to try and understand these, but an important part here is the multiplier. The multiplier basically just introduces velocity control. So every time in the loop, the multiplier is set to 1, and if the left or right triggers are pressed, one of them, it'll multiply the multiplier by 0.55, and if both of them are pressed, it'll multiply by 0.55 twice. And what this does is it makes sure that whatever power the motors are set to is between the negative multiplier and multiplier itself, which basically makes sure that whatever your multiplier is, your motor powers are constrained within. Finally, your 4 motors are set to these 4 motor powers. If you test this, especially testing moving 2 joysticks at the same time, you'll see that your robot will be able to react doing 2 movements at the same time.